Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, everyone between Genesys, welcome back to the rundown. 10 minutes testing about 4 Genesys format. Today on the rundown, Dark Magician Dracotail.
If a kid in an orphanage made this meme, I would hope that they never got adopted. And that takes a lot for me to say that, you know? Like, they don't deserve it yet.
That's right, today we're taking the Dark Magician Dracotail, a deck that, despite the lack of anything happening in that intro besides me bat-chesting my head off, I think this is actually one of the craziest decks in Genesys format. If you're not familiar with the start of Genesys, Dracotail was kind of the earliest boogeyman. They really just didn't hit the deck hard enough in the Genesys of Genesys format, and thus it pretty much dominated. Now, after a long time has passed and a bunch more cards had gotten pointed, it seemed like Dracotail was finally dead, outside of being used as a little fusion package in decks like Gem Knight and Shadow. However, what I think we have here is the best shell for Dracotail. First kind of innovated on the Peeps YGO stream, the lot of us in chat all got together and we were all helping him brainstorm what exactly you can do with this deck. What is that, you might ask? Well, I've featured various incarnations of Dark Magician in Genesys that basically the deck looks to draw a bunch of cards off of the powerhouse Dark Magician's Fusion, which is a soft once per turn, draw a card when a spell trap is activated, and then you can set and activate that card in the same turn. The other thing the Dark Magicians can do is when it is destroyed by card effect, will float into both Dark Magician and Dark Magician Girl. This just lets us get even more materials out onto the board to be fused with Cartesia or Phimina, or maybe we've been holding a card like Gaze or Secrets of Dark Magic to get even more fusion plays going on the opponent's turn. So what we've done is combine the crazy draw power of that along with how easy it is to get the Dracotail engine in action. This ends up creating a big fusion pile control deck that gains and gains and gains resources. So let's start card by card, of course, with the OGs, Dark Magician and Dark Magician Girl. Like I just said, they're pretty mandatory. Next up, we have Magician's Rod. The other power engine we're playing is the Shining Sark cards. That means we have 3 Magician's Apprentice, 1 of the Shining Sark Dark Magician, and 1 Gandora. Next up, we have Blazing Cartesia the Virtuous. This is our first pointed card at just 3 singular points. You can quote me on this. I'm pretty sure by the time we get the next points list, Cartesia is probably going to be going up in points. Speaking of cards that are up there in points, we have 1 Phimina. At 30 points, we can only afford just the 1. And then we have a card that I think should probably be pointed. We have 3 Dracotail Lucius. Cannot believe this card is 0 points. Lucius just gets you Phimina. It's just absolutely crazy. Then to round out our monsters, it's 3 Urgula and 1 Pan. Now to all these spell traps we're playing. 3 Future Silence, 2 Shining Sark, 1 Secrets of Dark Magic, Soul Servant. Back to pointed cards, we have the Gaze of Timaeus at 1 point, 10 points here on Rahu Dracotail, and 15 on Ketu Dracotail. Then for the last of our spells is 3 Fusion Deployment, 3 Forbidden Chalice at 1 point each, 3 Final Ring of the End Time, and then our 2 traps, 1 Dracotail Sting, and the 3 pointed Dracotail Flame. Alright, to the extra deck, we have the 20-point Dracotail Arthalion, Gulamel, Chalice, 2 of the Dark Magicians. We're going to be going through these a lot. We're also playing Quintet Magician, a very, very funny piece of interaction. We can summon Quintet off of Mixusa the Confounder. Then we have 1 Master of Chaos, 1 Dark Magician of Destruction at 15 points, Timaeus the United Magical Dragon, Secretarion Dragon, Grand Wignall to go along with our Cartesia. Possessed Destiny Wind is one of the funniest inclusions in this deck. I'll read it for you since you probably have never heard of this card before in your life. Materials: 1 spellcasting monster plus 1 wind monster. That means Pan specifically has to be used as material. This card is always treated as a familiar possessed card. With this card's fusion summon, you can place 1 wind monster from your graveyard on the bottom of the deck, then target 1 monster you controls, take control of that monster. During your opponent's turn, quick effect, you can target 2 cards on the field, including a wind monster you control, place them on the bottom of the deck in any order. You can use 1 possessed Destiny Wind effect per turn and only once that turn. Then our last 2 cards is 1 Preplan Dragon Sepelia and Thespian Luluwa Lilith. We're not looking to synchro summon her, she's just here for the banish effect of Grand Wignall. Alright, Now the side deck, 1 Dracotail Horn, 3 Debunk, because we need to fear Blitzclick, 3 Realm Eulogy. This card's really funny. This was actually a recent discovery. Just some random chatter showed up in the peep stream. Was like, hey, have you ever considered Realm Eulogy? If you've never seen this card before, there's a lot of text. Let me just read you the important line. Target 1 monster you control and 1 effect monster your opponent controls. Destroy that monster you control if you negate that opponent's monster effects until the end of this turn. And then you can stop reading. The rest is a then effect that we cannot resolve. This basically means it is kind of 3 more Forbidden Chalices that just have the requirement of Final Bringer of the End Times, which is already something we don't really care about because we're hopefully going to be popping our Dark Magicians, or possibly, if we've already resolved Dark Magicians, summon effect, we're popping a Dark Magician or Dark Magician Girl. And the last cards we have here inside is 3 Blizzard, 2 Twin Twister, and 3 Skullmeister. Alright, that's the deck. So why don't we check out some games? Alright, here we are. Game number 1, and our opponent is on Paleo. Listen, you can't blame me for this one. Alright, Joshua Schmidt took Paleo to his Genesys locals and went undefeated. Okay? It's not my fault, it's his. Anyway, we are going second. Ooh, God. We have drawn Urgula, Soul Servant, Forbidden Chalice, Magician's Rod, and Dracotail Lucius. Alright, well, no hand traps. Opponent, pop off. They're going to trap Tantalizing Tune, pitching the Rise to full height, setting 4 cards, and passing. Alright. We draw for turn and hit a Fusion Deployment. Banger. Let's go Fusion Deployment. Revealing Greg Wignall to summon Cartesia. Cartesia baits out a Canadia, which we chain the Cartesia to fuse, and they chain trap Holoc to pop the Canadia. Gonna go and make Grant Wignall, pitching the Magician's Rod, since we have a contested normal zone here with Lucius. They just fire a Morella now, chain a Canadia. We can only assume this is already set up for like rollback into E-Burst, and we're just going to work through that. Now, there's the rollback, like I said. Greg Wignall's going to pitch the Dark Magician, actually, so we can get a draw off this Soul Servant we're activating, which gets us the DMG. We're going to pitch the Forbidden Chalice, does nothing here to summon DMG and get the Shining Sarcophagus. Let's go ahead and make the D-Mod, which they then chain a Morella, chain another Morella. This is the E-Burst, like I just said. Here we go. Well, we have the Gaze, which is fine, because it just, takes from grave. Activate the Shining Sarcophagus, adding Gandora, and then we will fire the Gaze to summon Tim. We're just trying to bait out the rollback in E-Burst. They actually activate the last back row, which is Trap Trick. This is fun. I mean, they're down to their last trap anyway. They chain another Paleo, by the way. Now they're going to grab Destruct Daruma Karma Cannon. Okay. Well, here comes Tim. That is the out to Tim. He's currently unaffected, but when they flip the Daruma Karma Cannon, it will flip everyone and then send Tim to grave by game mechanic, I think, or maybe it's because it targets the player. Anyway, here comes Gandora. We're going to activate Gandora effect immediately, which they chain the Destructive Daruma Karma Cannon. For future reference, don't do this, because their Paleos who get put face down are now affected. So Gandora resolves, wiping the board and summoning DM from deck. We go ahead and normal summon Lucius. Lucius effect to add 5 mana, but we're actually going to stop there. We already know we cannot kill them this turn. So let's swing in with DM, swing in with Lucius, and then pass the turn. Cartesia adds herself back to the hand in the end phase, and we go ahead and see what they draw. And it's another Trap Tantalizing Tune. Okay, whatever. The pitch a Paleo, draw 2, and activate Mirage Nightmare. Great. Well, let's go 5 mana effect. They chain rollback, but it's fine. We had materials in hand. This is the exact reason why we just passed, because we knew that we needed more materials in hand to be able to stop this exactly. So we summon Gulamel, chain Urgula, pop a back row, chain Gulamel, pop the other back row, leaves them on no material. So we essentially just win the game when they're sitting there 1850 with no cards. So for game number 2, our opponent is on Blitzclick. Blitzclick, yes, the supposed best deck in Genesys format. What we've opened here is Forbidden Chalice, Fusion Deployment, Fusion Deployment, Fusion Deployment, and Future Silence. Well, we need some kind of discard, don't we? Let's go ahead and pass and see what our opponent does to start. They're going to lead off with the field spell activating, normal summoning Crackle, then activating the field spell to add Surge. So we have the token, and they're going to use Surge, pop that token. There we go, summon herself. Crackle sees that, sends the quick play spell, they set a card and pass. Not the craziest looking board, but we can only assume there must be a Whisker in hand waiting for us. We draw for turn, and it is Twin Twister. Exactly what the doctor ordered. We pitch one of those fusion tolerants. We hit Final Bringer and the Hideout. All right. Crackle Chain Surge. Well, whatever. We're just going to go ahead and Chalice the Surge. Crackle resolves, sending the Continuous spell. Alright, Future Silence adds us DMG. We then go main, DMG pitch the other fusion deployment, add Shining Sark. Shining Sark effect adds us, wouldn't you know it, Gandora G once again. I'm going to go ahead and activate Gandora G effect and then activate the Ignition effect, wiping the board, making sure that if they have any more cool tunes, they're not going to be able to do anything. Summoning Dark Magician, making Demon. The real one of the unknowns was Ghost Ogre, popping Demon, but we already know that doesn't matter. So we grab Rod, because we have no access to the Dracotail cards. So we'll go Rod, add the Gaze. Fusion deployment, reveal Grand Regnal, summon Cartesia. Cartesia effect, make Secretariat. Secretariat's going to revive our Cartesia for later. Gaze at Tamias to then summon Tim, because I realized, wait, Tim is just lethal. Tim boosts himself to 39, swinging 28 with Secretariat, and 16 with Rod for game. Alright, so for game number 3, we are against Phantom Knights. We are going first, and we open Dracotail, Lucius, Future Silence, Fusion Deployment, Dark Magician, the Magician's Apprentice, and Dracotail Urgula. Just all starters. Every starter and Urgula. Alright, let's go ahead and normal summon Lucius to start off, adding Phymina. What else? Phymina effect to fuse Lucius and Urgula for Arthalion. Arthalion target Phymina. Urgula 1, Lucius 2. We're going to set Rahu and Dracotail Flame. Add back that Phymina, activate Rahu, sending Phymina and Pan to summon Gulamel. Trigger both again for Sting and Horn. Alright. Then let's go with Specialty DMG, pitching Future Silence, but they have Ghost Ogre. Interesting that they held Ghost Ogre there. It does cut us off theoretically from the D mod, but let's add the Shining Sarcophagus, activate that, and grab the Dark Magician. Some decks have been cutting it, so I guess it does make sense. It also cuts us off from drawing 2 off Soul Servant. So we'll go ahead and make the D mod, add the Soul Servant, activate Fusion Deployment now, summoning Cartesia, using the Cartesia effect. Fuse with the D mod for the Dark Magician's Destruction to top deck Gaze at Tamias, and then immediately draw that Gaze at Tamias. Soul Servant now for a blind draw, which is just another Soul Servant. Sure, whatever. Let's go ahead and add back a Phymina, set the Gaze, and pass turn. I would have really much appreciated if we had some space for this Soul Servant. Back when Magician's Souls could be afforded into the deck, we would use that, sending the Sarcophagus to get the extra board space. But now that we don't have that, because we get to do the exact same play, but we top deck an Interruption instead. Huh? Pretty cool, right? Alright, let's pass it to the opponent. They draw for turn, and let's see what they start off with. They go with the Phantom Knights of Doom Sorley. We chain the Gaze, they chain Cosmic, we chain Flame to negate the Cosmic, because might as well draw a card. We summon out Tim, and then they set the Trap card. Normal summon Tour Guide next, summoning another Tour Guide, I guess. No way it's up to play. Anyway, Raigeki, our entire board, that triggers Dark Magician to float. Overlay for this guy, ooh, but they put him in attack position, so he does not get the opportunity to search the rank up. We drew Final, bringing the end time, which is very nice. They activate the back row, tried to summon it, but Tim immediately checks that. And seeing how we just stopped every starter, they went ahead and scooped it up. So we're back with deck, and hey, oh my god, I can't even just call this okay. This deck is insane. There are so many more games I would have liked to show you, because I did like a 4-hour stream playing this deck, and my god was it powerful. Scraped it down to just those 3. If you want to see more gameplay with this deck, you can check out the video from Wednesday, where it's highlights of some other fun games we had. Genuinely, I think this is like the second best deck in Genesis. It's definitely top 5 best deck in Genesis. The Dracotail cards are absolutely insane in this format. But we're not here to just talk about how much I love this so much. We gotta talk strengths and weaknesses. Of course, the strengths, like I just said, the Dracotail cards are insane. The fact that every single one of our guys is also just a starter if we have the other half of the deck that can play just takes everything to a whole nother level. The Dracotail traps, drawing you cards. We find power spells, we find engine, we find combo pieces. It's just an absurd resource engine, resource loop, power game, control. It has it all. Not to mention, the Dark Magician cards themselves are not slouches. DMG being this 0-point card that can just search us into this insane combo is honestly, I said at the top Lucius needs points, they're probably pointing DMG, right? The OCG already put her to 5 points. I can flash the OCG points right now, check this out. Boom, look at this. They know this is a problem. They know she's good. Being able to just search Gandora, a pure board wipe that also lets you combo, I can't put it into words how crazy this is. I just keep calling it crazy, I keep calling it insane. This deck is just on another level. The fact that cards like Final Bringer and Realm Eulogy just do not have a downside here is fantastic. Final Bringer is already a staple in decks that don't go +2 off it, right? But with all strengths come weaknesses. First up, the most obvious, Shifter and Dify. Yes, they're 10 points. Yes, Blitzclick has kind of scared them out of the meta, but if the Dark Magician deck here, if our deck here does pick up popularity, we might be seeing those cards come back. We absolutely just get soloed by a Fissure, by a Shifter. A lot of the interaction we play in this deck also needs to target. So if we encounter a deck that can put out something like the Azamina card that just stops you from targeting anything, the Utopic Xyz monster who also stops anything else from being targeted but itself. Indestructible guys can be a little awkward for things like Final Bringer. There is also the issue that the deck's points are very volatile. We're looking at a lot of cards that are just suspect for getting pointed. Whether it's Mina or Arthalion getting pointed higher, they're actually being points put on Lucius and DMG. There is also a slight weakness to Charmies, not in the sense that Charmies like turn skip us, but sometimes we are forced to give the opponent like 2 or 3 draws for a Fua, and then there are awkward hands that just really play hard into Perulia. But with all that said, I hope you enjoyed this video. I really hope I've sold you on this deck. Genuinely, if I didn't do a good enough job, go twitch.tv/peepsyu-gi-oh, check out his VODs, check him out playing this deck. The energy of us in chat, of him on stream, out of this world. Go there, watch us. You can even check out the brainstorming streams. Those are still up on his Twitch channel. You know, I'm in there. A bunch of other great people are in there. We're all brainstorming this deck together and like just building this insane concoction. Not only that, I think you should also subscribe to this channel. Like this video and comment on this video to say how much you think this deck rocked. And before I sign off, I would like to say, if there's a deck you would like to see featured on this series, leave that in the comments as well. Alright? That's it for me. Thanks so much for watching. Goodbye.